Are you ready for some unpopular truth about print-on-demand niches? Well, buckle up, here goes. I decided to make this video after I was browsing on my YouTube homepage and all I was seeing were videos titled Revealing the Best Print-on-Demand Niches, the Top 5 Print-on-Demand Niches, and how to find $1 million print-on-demand niches. And this is just 3 of many. My homepage was flooded. And all I could think was, what the hell were all of these magic niches that everyone was banging on about? So I sat for the next few hours and watched all of these videos. This probably didn't help my YouTube algorithm, and I'm starting to see why YouTube keep recommending me these stupid niche videos. They think I like them. But I want to give you the honest truth about niches, so keep watching. Well, for starters, there's so much wrong with thinking about a niche as the best niche. And in this video, I want to explain how to actually look at print-on-demand niches, what determining factors a niche may have to potentially work, and what to avoid. Now, in full transparency, in the past, unfortunately, I have made some videos like the ones I'm referring to, where I went over the best niches out there. But I've seen the light. I've realized how useless those videos actually are. And this is why I haven't made one in absolutely ages. So, moving on, I want to just clear the air and let's talk about what you should really think about when trying to find niches. So, I just want to quickly start with the obvious. Regardless of what anyone says, what niche is trending, nothing is guaranteed. Sometimes a niche is put on a pedestal, and by deciding to go into it, you assume sales will come. And this is misleading, as it's simply not true. There are far, far more important deciding factors as to whether you'll get sales. And we'll cover those soon. A lot of videos went over how certain niches were just too saturated for you to succeed in. They proceeded to show you how to niche down to the tiniest of tiny niches. In one video, someone mentioned underwater welders as a niche. I mean, come on. What the hell is that? That is not a niche that you would go into. Now, I think it's important to understand the hierarchy of a successful print-on-demand store first, so you can see where niches fall. Designs are key. They are top of the food chain. With a bad design, it really doesn't matter about anything else. People will not buy crap. If you're selling on Shopify, then the hierarchy looks something like this. You've got designs, ads, store, niche, and then brand. Funny that, niche is almost the least important thing. You just need to make sure you're validating the niche, and it's really not that hard. You really don't need to overcomplicate it. Now, when selling on Etsy or Amazon, the niche is even less important. I know, crazy. In fact, I'd argue it's completely irrelevant, and that's because you need to sell what people want to buy regardless of the niche. With Etsy and Amazon, you can just have as many niches as you want, and it's all about the design that you're creating. The concept of a trendy niche sometimes works. For example, the political niche would be extremely popular now in 2024 because of the presidential election.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
But would it always be overly popular? No, not at all. And I don't know about you, but when I'm building a business, I'm planning on it lasting longer than 6 months, right? So you don't want to go for something that's literally going to die within a year. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certainly factors to consider when deciding a niche. It's not something to be glossed over. The size of the audience is important. The popularity of t-shirt designs in that niche is important. The number of unique designs in that niche is important. And how interested are you in the niche is also important. These are all key factors when picking a niche to go into. It's not a case of the dog niche will do better than the cat niche, or the cycling niche will do better than the golf niche. All 4 niches I've just mentioned all have the potential of making 5 figures a month. There's so many other factors to consider. When watching these niche videos, it just sends the wrong message in my opinion. It makes it sound like there are silver bullet niches out there that are guaranteed to do well. And that's simply not the case. Whether you want to go into the book niche, or the cooking niche, the fishing niche, or the running niche, enjoy. Have fun. Any one of these can be successful. Now, let's go over those niche criteria to consider that I mentioned earlier, because like I said, it's still important and you shouldn't just gloss over it. The size of the audience. Well, in order to get sales, you need to ensure that there's an audience out there willing to buy. And this is where you have to be careful not to go into a niche to the point where no one is interested, like underwater welders. Very, 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 very specific. I made this chart to help illustrate popularity. You can see T-shirt is too broad. Funny T-shirt is also too broad. Animal T-shirt is getting there, but still a bit broad. And then pet T-shirts is good, but finally dog T-shirts is where it's at. And in this case, dog T-shirts would be the niche. You could take it a step further, such as golden retriever T-shirts, but that might be too small. Or even further, like golden retriever T-shirts for women. You can see how niching down isn't necessarily the right thing to do. And you have this whole scale, this whole chart here to help you pick a niche, to make sure it's not too broad, but to also make sure it's not too focused. You kind of want something in the middle. Oh, and by the way, for these niche criterias, I'm specifically referring to selling on Shopify. When it comes to Etsy and Amazon, I really believe the niche doesn't matter, and I'll explain what I mean later on. For Shopify, having a niche that fits the criteria is somewhat important. So once determining there is an audience size there, don't let competition scare you off. If a niche seems highly competitive, great! It just proves that it's working and that people are in that audience and want to buy t-shirts. Because you're selling on Shopify, you don't need to worry about competition like you would have to worry on Etsy and Amazon. Because no one can see any of the other products. They are just on your store looking at your products. The popularity of t-shirt designs is the next important factor to consider. As t-shirts are the products that we want to be selling, we need to make sure the niche makes sense. A few people have told me they love photography and they want to go into the photography niche, but I actually made that mistake myself a long time ago. I am a photographer and I love photos, but photos don't sell as t-shirts. They sell as photos. So it's important to make sure that whatever niche you do go into, there is a market for t-shirts. Now, why do we say t-shirts? Well, despite what you might hear from other people, t-shirts are undeniably the most popular print-on-demand product and the most popular item of clothing. Around 2 billion t-shirts are sold every single year. That's absolutely crazy. The idea of t-shirts being too saturated or a rubbish product due to terrible margins, none of that is true. T-shirts are awesome. The average for how many t-shirts an individual owns, I think, is like 7. But then on top of that, every single time someone goes to a shopping center, t-shirts are the most popular item bought. So if you think about it, more than anything else, mugs, posters, hoodies, whatever it is, t-shirts are undeniably the most popular print-on-demand products to be selling. And t-shirts aren't going anywhere. In 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, in 50 years' time, we are still going to be wearing t-shirts. Unless the population kind of turns into some sort of nudist population, which I don't think is going to happen. So t-shirts will always be a very, very popular product. So it makes sense to sell t-shirts. Now, the next thing to consider is design uniqueness. And this is really, really important. Probably the most important factor when deciding on a niche. If we say the aim is to start a Shopify store with 100 designs, we need those designs to be unique to each other. Not to be confused with original designs. I'm not suggesting you think up 100 original designs from scratch. That is incredibly difficult. When coming up with design ideas, you want to be building a mood board based on the competition. We want to ensure that we are able to find 100 plus different designs in our research. And if we're struggling to find more than 50, that isn't a good sign. It shows that the niche might not be scalable. It shows that it might be too specific. Now, because 100 designs is only the start, the way we make more money with print on demand is by creating more designs. So you have to make sure that there is potential to add those designs. And of course, the last important thing to consider is how interested are you in the niche? Don't get me wrong. The data is without a doubt the most important factor. If you love a niche, but all the signs are saying no, well then maybe don't do that niche. Likewise, if all the data is saying yes, but you're really not interested in the niche, and you don't feel you'll ever be able to grow and find an interest in that niche, then I'd argue and say don't go for it, as you'll lose interest very quickly. Bear in mind, you'll be sitting for hours on end creating designs for this niche. You need to actually enjoy what you're creating, otherwise you simply won't have the motivation to continue, especially when times are tough and sales aren't coming in as often as you hoped. A balance between good data and a niche that you are somewhat interested in is perfect. Now, why doesn't niche matter for Amazon and Etsy? Well, with Amazon and Etsy, it's a numbers game. You are competing with thousands, sometimes millions of other designs. Spending time worrying about the niche is only going to cost you time. You need to focus on putting out as many quality designs as you possibly can in order to get seen in the algorithm. Regardless of the niche, you need to find top-selling designs, top trending designs, and the designs that are most likely to succeed, and then you need to flood the market with those designs. It's one of the reasons I'm not such a fan of Etsy or Amazon print on demand. I just don't think it's a sustainable business model. Building your own brand and your own website is always going to pay off way better than consistently flooding the market on Etsy with designs and effectively building their business and not your own. Even though this whole video is about niches and bringing attention to the best niches to sell in videos that seem to be trending, it's important you know that the single most important element of a successful store, a successful print-on-demand business, are the designs. A bad niche, a bad ad, that can be fixed with truly brilliant designs that resonate. However, a bad design cannot be fixed by a great niche or a great ad. Always remember that. So when you're watching the next video from someone telling you which niche is currently trending or going viral, just remember what I've said in this video. I've got your back. I don't want you to be misled into thinking a niche bears that much weight that it can be the determining factor as to whether you succeed or not. What you can do when watching these other videos about trending niches and all that kind of stuff is forget about the niche and just have a look at the designs that they are showing in the video, because oftentimes they'll show examples of various designs for each niche, right? So regardless of what the niche is, just create all those designs that they are showing and put them all out there on Etsy and on Amazon. Again, with Shopify, it's a very different ballgame. You're just focusing on one niche and you're focusing on building a long, sustainable, scalable brand that could actually become a big, proper business. So two different business models, but both can work. Everyone just has their preferences. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.